One lady let her dog shit in the sidewalk area of yard every day. Never picked it up. I posted on the neighborhood network, no response. Signs asking people to pick up the dog shit did nothing. My neighbor saying, "Hey, pick up your dog's shit, lady." Did nothing. She still let her dog shit in my yard, right in front of my wife's car. Every day, like clockwork.
I live in a fairly large city with a lot of good dog owners. But every so often we get people, especially right after the pandemic, that are assholes about picking up after their pups. I have a security cam that faces the area where people like to let their dogs piss. I'm never around at that time of day, but I can see who's letting their dogs do what in my yard at all times. One lady let her dog shit in the sidewalk area of yard every day. Never picked it up. I posted on the neighborhood network, no response. Signs asking people to pick up the dog shit did nothing. My neighbor saying, "Hey, pick up your dog's shit, lady." Did nothing. She still let her dog shit in my yard, right in front of my wife's car. Every day, like clockwork. She told my neighbor once that she didn't have time, because she had to walk her dog before she went to work. My neighbor said, "That's super rude not to pick up after your dog." She said, "What are you going to do about it?" and walked off. My neighbor, being the kind woman she is, picked up the dog poop and threw it away for me. And then she told me later that day about Pooper Lady and her very rude interaction. Now, we had a dog not too long ago. Which is sort of an understatement. We had a 250-pound doofus Maximus who loved people, loved dogs, loved cats, loved kids. He was super friendly to everyone, and we left a doggy treat library up in his memory when he passed 2 years ago of old age. His passing broke me, but the one thing that I learned is exactly how horrible our yard was even before a human-sized dog used it as a lavatory every day. I've spent some time fixing the lawn by replacing the grass with nitrogen-absorbing plants like microclover and other xeriscape lawn replacement plants that are highly resistant to dog urine, because we do intend to get another dog someday. My old boy, when he shit in the yard, took massive dumps that would reach 5 to 6 in height if he stayed in one place. I had a scoop shovel and a 14-gallon bucket half filled with sawdust like an elephant trainer and would go around the yard every day to pick all of it up. When we went for walks, even when he was a wee 90-pound puppy at 4 months old, I took grocery bags with plenty of poop bags with me on walks because he would poop multiple times, and I preferred not to have our neighbors think a homeless person shat on their lawn after we went by. When he passed, I put a little free dog treat library along with free poop bags for the local pups and their parents, because, well, we had a supply. He ate as much food a day as the average teenage boy, and loved donuts as much as Homer Simpson. Asparagus, oranges, and the doggy bits from steak? Oh yeah. Plus, a dog treat the size of a hand was just normal sized for him. The upshot is that what we had on hand when he passed is roughly 8x the normal amount a dog parent would have. And I didn't want it to go to waste, so we provided it for free until it ran out. I even have a small bucket nearby labeled, "If you have dog poop bags, please drop them here." Because the raging debate of whether it's rude to drop tied-off dog shit bags in a nearby garbage can rages on the next door lists every year, along with the fireworks conversation that starts around July 2nd and continues for the next 2 weeks. The point is that there was absolutely no fucking excuse here. On top of that, I had previously met this lady and her dog when I was walking my old boy around the block. She is one of those people who walk their dog while surfing their phone and plugged into a podcast or call at all times. And her dog is one of those long-haired fluffy dogs that look like they've been run into a wall multiple times head first. It's also an asshole, and is aggressive towards other dogs, even ones roughly 20 times its size. Every time we met walking, she barely registered her dog trying to bite mine until I would yell, "Curb your dog, lady," and blocked it bodily. So, poop bags available. Notices. Neighbors saying, "Knock that shit off." Pooper Lady Karen doing Pooper Lady Karen things with Muffin Paws the asshole shit zier. Fine, we can play that game. I started my research by checking my house security camera. She was always there between 8:02 and 8:03. Religiously. On the dot. Every workday. Every time. Never on the weekends, and never after 8:04 a.m. She was always dressed in very nice business casual with expensive shoes and a purse or sling bag, but never with poop bags. I set up one of my Rainpoint Wi-Fi enabled automatic sprinkler hose bib things, and connected 2 high-volume, highly visible water sprayers for that grassy area. One on each side, One facing the sidewalk from my house with some overlap to the sidewalk strip set to a 180-degree semicircle. One in the sidewalk strip facing the house, set to the same dispersal pattern. The nice thing about Rainpoint is that it's hooked into your house Wi-Fi and you can control it anywhere, anytime, just by pressing a button widget on your phone. You can also set up automatic watering timers and hook it into weather, soil moisture IFTTT systems, but the fact that you can set it off remotely is more important here. I set the timer to go off at 8:03 exactly and spray for 10 minutes on full blast. And by full blast, I mean I made sure to close off all other hoses and not start the dishwasher or laundry before I left for the day at 7 a.m. So the full experience of 15 GPM water pressure could be enjoyed by all. The next morning, I turned on my remote viewing of my security camera at work. Here she comes, dressed more nicely than usual in her business casual, walking her aggro asshole dust mop of a dog. Face in the phone. Earbuds plugged in, volume up. The dust mop angles his way towards the same spot she always lets him shit, starts to squat, and then dual sprays of ice-cold water catch her dog in the face, and her at the waist. Full blast. The one from the house started first, the one in the sidewalk strip started 10 seconds later. She stood there screaming on the security cam for 30 seconds, then stormed across the grass to pick up her dog, who, at this point, has been turned from a fluffy ball of perfectly groomed dog to a filthy wet mop with extra dirt and powdered steer manure compost. And as she turns to storm away with her dog, she slips on the fresh dog shit that her dog had just dropped. And that was now getting sprayed with water at 15 GPM. She lands on fresh micro clover that had been lovingly fertilized with composted steer manure from our family farm the day before, so she doesn't get injured. But when she gets up, her very expensive business casual outfit is caked with dog shit, fresh green stains and steer manure. Karen exits stage left, screaming. I start laughing so hard my boss has to come out to ask what's the matter. I kept a Nextdoor tab up in my browser all day set to check for new posts from my specific neighborhood with keywords. I was not disappointed. About an hour later I saw a Nextdoor post talking about how horrible people start their watering during the time people are walking their dogs. Yep, it's her. Someone replies to her thread saying, maybe just walk a different way? Or go a little later? Arg, you don't understand. My dog is soaking wet and it ruined his grooming session for the week. Now I have to get him in and get him cleaned up after work. Well, thank you for the heads up, pooper lady. The next morning I tuned into my security cam at work and had the smart timer widget up. I tested it the day before remotely and made sure the lag time was minimal on both the camera and the sprinklers. Sure enough, here comes the pooper and his mistress, right on time. She is dressed up in business wear complete with heels and a full suit today. Which, you know, might be a bad choice. To her credit, she is a bit leery of the yard, but she is checking her watch and watching the sprinkler. The dog starts to squat right at 8:26 a.m. I hit the button. My security camera is about 30 feet away behind triple pane glass windows inside a house we did extra insulation on this last spring. It has a shit microphone that barely picks up anything. I could hear her scream of rage like a pair of wild foxes in heat running 2 feet from my head. Her dog was turned from a fluff ball to a wet mop once more, but this time he was still mid-shit, so when she grabbed him physically, I could see her trying desperately to avoid the aerial shit torpedoes popping from his ass and flying into the air all over the sidewalk and the walkway to the street. Her phone clatters to the ground, she breaks a heel stumbling over, and one final doggy turd flies up into the air, executes a perfect 360 double pike, and lands on her blouse. The next day was a Thursday. I pop my browser tab open and lay in wait. I watch as pooper lady comes down the street, absorbed in her phone, dragging her mop of dog along behind her. When they get to my house, the dog stops and will not go any further. I see her turn and tug at his leash. He refuses. She stops. She looks at the area of the yard where my sprinklers are set up. She looks at him. She pulls at his leash again. And they begin walking towards the same area once more. And just before they get to the outside edge of my property, I turn on the sprinklers. The 3 seconds of lag means that by the time they're halfway to the spot of pooper lady, they're about 5 feet inside the spray zone. And the dog just nopes the fuck out of there quick enough she is startled and drops the leash. He runs off back the way they came. And she does the running in heels thing out of frame after him. That Friday morning, no pooper lady. The next Monday, around 10 a.m. I see the pooper lady's dog, but he's being walked by a young woman wearing the t-shirt of a local dog walking service. She stops by my doggy supply library. She smiles. She reaches down to pick up the poop. She tucks it in a bag, ties it off, and walks on with the dog, who looks much happier, overall. After about 3 months, I no longer see either pooper lady or her dust mop of a dog anywhere in the neighborhood. I guess she moved somewhere that she and her aggro asshole dog can live in peace and shit wherever they like. Still have the sprinkler set up, but now I tend to set it to run when nobody is around, like at 4 a.m. And only when the grass really needs it.